is just straight hate by a guy who's jealous that he is still playing at a high level at 45 when you had to stop at 35.
Skip, that's what you do.
That's the point.
That's what you do. Every time I call something into question, I'm jealous.
No.
Skip, I did what I did.
I never said you were jealous of Baker Mayfield.
Skip, I did what I did. You make it seem like I was a bum. I'm in the effing Hall of Fame.
Okay,
I got 3 Super Bowls.
So what?
So what?
He's way better than you were.
You would take a personal shot at me.
I didn't take a personal shot at you.
Wait a minute.
What are you talking about?
You would take a personal
Put your glasses back on. Your
You would
dignity.
disrespect me to support him.
No, well, I'll support him over anybody because he's the greatest player who ever played your game, and it's by far.
Have at it.
Okay,
Take off, bro.
I'm going to have at it because I'm going to have at you.
That clip we just watched might be the single most disrespectful clip in the history of these debate shows. That one dark day when Skip Bayless finally turns his fangs against his own co-host. Every major news source has reported that once the NBA Finals is over, so is Skip and Shannon's partnership. And if you're like me and you're not a regular watcher of Undisputed, at the very least, man, you check out some of these clips every now and then. I've heard Skip Bayless say just outlandish stuff for years and years, and people eat it up. I always thought it was an act and dude was secretly a genius, and maybe that's how it started, bro. But eventually, his on-camera persona became his personality, and as he's gotten older and more accomplished, it's only gotten worse. But out of all the crazy stuff I've heard this dude say over the years, there was one comment that let me know everything I needed to about Skip Bayless.
On my first date with my wife Ernestine, that was 17 years ago, I told her, if this goes any place, anywhere, any way, I said, you will always be number 2 to my career, which is my life, what I was born to do. If at any point Ernestine had said, I'm sorry, I need you to stop and spend more time with me. If she had said that to me, I would have said, I'm sorry, I'm just gonna have to go on without you. I declared myself on the first date. I love Ernestine more than I can express to you. I love having her in my life, but only if she doesn't threaten what I live for.
No, obviously, he has a right to approach his life however he wants. Bro, miss me with that dumb defense. I'm not saying he should go to jail. What I'm arguing is that when there's a person who proudly proclaims that his career is more important than his family, red flag. In that moment, that person just showed you who they are. That person will do or say anything to try to further their career. So there's this one saying that people just constantly get wrong. And when it's said incorrectly, it's actually kind of dumb. You've heard people say money is the root of all evil. Break that down and it means you need to be unsuccessful to be good. The actual saying has like 4 more words at the beginning, which are absolutely essential to understanding the quote. So the quote doesn't say money is the root of all evil. It says for the love of money is the root of all evil. You see the difference, man? The subject of this sentence is the love of money, not the money itself. The love of money. So the quote isn't saying you're either poor or you're evil. It's not saying you shouldn't enjoy and use money as a resource. What it's saying is that when you prioritize the money above everything else, that's when the seeds of evil are planted deep inside you. Another important word in there is root. That's where it starts. The love of money might get a whole country to the point where you send people to the doctor's office and prescribe them medicine that doesn't actually address any of their issues and instead just slightly pacifies their side effects. If you fix the issue and then it's gone, then they don't need you anymore. And if you put in money first, that wouldn't make sense. Or if you tell them, man, you really just need to change your diet, pharmaceutical companies you're in bed with might up and pull them funds. That's a very extreme example of the path the love of money can send you down. And Skip ain't nowhere near that damn bad, but I'm just trying to paint the picture. So what does love mean practically in everyday life? When you boil it down, it really just means priority. Most people who have kids would drop everything they're doing on a moment's notice if they heard their kid was in dire condition. But if money or your career, or however we want to say that, is top priority, then you leave your kid scared in the hospital because you can't miss work because LeBron got eliminated last night. But it's cool because you already told them up front that your career would take priority.
I declared myself on the first date.
When you love money, or in this case, the thing that generates it, and you permanently prioritize that above your family, you've now gotten to the point where you have no anchor. Without that, you get to the point where you'll say or do anything, even to people you care about, if it means good ratings. You're probably closer to a robot with artificial intelligence than you are to a full person, a Twitter troll in real life, whose main goal is to be noticed. He doesn't care who he hurts, doesn't care what he says as long as people pay attention. Alright, a quick break for a brief word from my longtime sponsor, SeatGeek. SeatGeek's the top rated ticketing app with over 28 million downloads. There's more than 70,000 events on SeatGeek every day, including sports, concerts, festivals, and more. I could catch the Colts versus Texans to see the rookies battle it out, but I'm really eyeing this Broadway show on the lives of the Temptations. Whether you only watch sports or you branch out a little, either way, you're not gonna wanna miss out. Now, SeatGeek always wants to make sure you get a good deal. So when you're on the app, make sure you say yeah to the green dots. Green signifies a good deal, red signifies a bad one. It's basic stoplight logic, so you know what I'm saying? It's simple. Every ticket is backed by their buyer guarantee, and they're the only sites that let you return tickets using swaps. So use my code FlemLo for $20 off on your first purchase when you pick up tickets at SeatGeek. That's $20 off your first purchase when you use promo code FlemLo while you're on SeatGeek. Make sure you click the link in the description and download the app. And without further ado, let's jump back into the video. Now, I'm not gonna go so far as to call it a sickness, but you way off kilter and need to get back on balance. Now, balance is everything. It's dumb to ignore your career completely, all in the name of family. But it's also pretty dumb to do it the other way around, where you completely ignore the family in the name of your career. Now, every single family and every single career and every individual are all different. There's no standard amount of time or attention you need to pay to each. But within your relationships and career, you should at least pursue balance. Now, I ain't been in school in a long time, so my math stuff might be off, but I can remember taking algebra for the very first time. Every time I think about balance and how difficult it can be, I think of a crazy looking equation that's equal to 1. To me, it's always meant that balance doesn't always look the same. You might never wash the dishes, let's say, during your whole relationship. At the same time, your wife might not never take out the trash. She spends a little more time with the kids, you spend a little more time working. But there's a million ways to balance an equation. It doesn't necessarily need to look the exact same on both sides. If you don't value your relationship with your wife enough not to go on a podcast and say she'll always be number 2, if you don't value the relationship enough not to say that publicly, even if you feel like that, still, why would you put that out there? But because stuff like that, that's the reason I was surprised that Shannon was so surprised when Skip disrespected him. Any dude that'll jump on a podcast and proudly say this about his wife, he seemed to barely respect her, so what make you think you safe? If you meet people like this, they could be great for your career. They all in on the job and they'll find success in that area. But I'd advise you to try to keep them at arm's length and just keep it a work thing. Don't get too comfortable with this person, because when it comes down to it, he'll stab you in the back, he'll disrespect you, he'll do whatever in the name of good ratings. And you should already know that because they told you what was most important, so you gotta give him that. He's been very, very honest. But at 70 years old, dude threw a fit so bad after a sports team loss that he got into it with his wife. That's high school stuff, bro. Okay, I'll even give you college, but bro, we grown men now. Control your motherfucking emotions. I mean, yeah, get pissed off, scream at the TV, tweet something crazy. Yes, we all do this. But when your wife or your kids come into the room, don't take your sports anger out on your damn family. Take your ass and hit the weights. Take your ass and ride your bike, roll one up, listen to some music, bro, whatever you need to do. But calm your ass down and be a damn adult and just don't start a fight with your wife over sports. Now, Skip isn't all bad. Dude's obviously talented and he's committed to his job, which is admirable on some levels. But when balance isn't even a goal anywhere in your mind, it's gonna be hard to stay on the correct side of the line in any area. Dude routinely crosses the line between entertainment and blatant disrespect. Like Charlie Murphy once said, dude's a habitual line stepper, but then looked like he wanted to cry when Jalen Rose called him out. This man literally sat on TV calling dudes disrespectful names every single day for years on years. But when Jalen came on the show and called him Water Pistol Pete, that was the line that was just too damn far. He pissed me off when he said Dak wasn't allowed to suffer depression after both his mom and older brother passed away. Then he tweeted what he tweeted while DeMar Hamlin was down on the field and we literally didn't know if he would make it. I didn't think the tweet was really that big of a deal, but your partner who played on that field obviously felt it was. In that situation, stop being a fucking child. Delete the tweet and apologize to the man. You don't lose anything. This is not a discussion about rights. What he did is obviously legal, but that doesn't make it right. It's not illegal to be a jerk to every person you meet, but most people with common sense would agree you probably shouldn't do that. Like, why do you need a law with the threat of jail time just to make an attempt at being a decent person? If you make a mistake, that's cool, we all do. But the double down out of stubbornness and misplaced pride is stupid. Like I said, Skip is talented, and for better or for worse, dude has been a huge part of shaping the sports landscape. One thing I try to stay away from is changing definitions of words based on my personal feelings. I'll give you an example. Just because I like a player, don't mean he's not a bust. Just because he's a good person, don't mean he wasn't a bust. But being a bust has never mean you're less than as a man. It just means you fell way short of expectations within a sport. So just because Skip Bayless is not my favorite person, that obviously doesn't mean that the dude is not a legend. He is, and here's the pun. That's undisputed. He's a legend in his field, and that's one thing we can't debate. But it'd be dope if he would reevaluate some of his priorities. If not, he runs the risk of alienating all the people who is in his corner. I hope dude can learn from this. Like, his character arc's not over. I mean, he's done it all professionally, but there's room for personal growth. Bro, you know what'd be dope? Maybe after a couple of years, he goes on Shannon's podcast and has a real conversation. It would be dope to see him bring his adult shoes and admit that he was way out of line for the way he acted on that show. I usually like to try to bounce back and forth between each person and highlight everything I think both sides did wrong. But in this case, it's kind of hard because I really do believe Shannon Sharpe handled this about as well as humanly possible. He ain't act out on the show. He ain't go on somebody else's podcast. He missed a day or two, and when he came back, dude was all professional. He was suited, booted with perfect posture. He was so professional to the point that it seemed like they mended fences. And I'm assuming they did to a level where they could still work together to finish out the contract. But I could all but guarantee, after those two incidents, their personal relationship, it just could not have ever been the same. So everybody remembers when Shannon had that situation where he got into it with the Memphis Grizzlies players and T. Morant. Now that's a situation he could have handled better in the moment. But like a grown man, he went on TV, looked straight in the camera, admitted he was wrong, apologized for his behavior, and it seems like that's probably all he wanted from Skip Bayless. But I don't know if it ever happened. We never saw an apology. And y'all know the rules, man. If you disrespect me publicly, apologize publicly. If you don't, I ain't saying we could never work together. As far as being friends on a personal level, hell nah. I don't doubt Skip Bayless is gonna find another co-host and continue his run, at least to some extent. And I'm very interested to see like who's gonna sit across from him. Because first he struck gold with Stephen A, then again with Shannon Sharpe. I've seen his one-man show, not my cup of tea. It seems he needs someone to argue with in order to make gold, which makes sense. I think Stephen A said that Skip pretty much invented that format. Again, he's made a lot of contributions. As for Shannon, he said 1,000,000 times that Skip helped him out tremendously, and he's now grown his brand more through Undisputed. His podcast Club Shay Shay has been gaining some real traction, and he might have actually found his true niche within sports media. A lot of people feel his interview skills are even better than his debate skills, but regardless of format, his own camera skills have always shined through. This dude is now a legend in 2 different areas because his impact on joining that show are honestly immeasurable. Now he's leaving Fox and taking Club Shay Shay with him, so I won't be surprised if he got a real nice bag waiting for him. Between ESPN and Amazon, he'll have bidders lining up. I bet the tampering right now in his inbox is looking crazy. Bro, if you got a partner, a work partner, or a wife, understand those relationships have to be protected. I ain't saying you won't miss some dates. Your wife has to understand that your job is important. A man needs fulfilling work. But if it gets too high up on that priority list, that all your relationships start to suffer and fall apart, that means you're out of balance and you need to recalibrate, which is a process. It's not easy and it's literally constant. The term is lonely at the top had to be created by a person who neglected everything except getting to the top. That's why when you got there, you was all by yourself. You gotta carve out some small percentage to foster your relationships. Anytime I jump on here and I'm like spewing life lessons, whatever, that comes from reading, watching, and my personal life. I made all of these mistakes, usually on a smaller level than the people I'm talking about, but the concept remains. You gotta make some kind of effort to prioritize those that's closest to you, or you'll have nobody in your corner that you ain't gotta pay to stand there. The problem with that, if you can't see it, is that once you stop paying or somebody offers more, your corner is now empty. Don't get me wrong, there's some people that you need to cut from your life, and that's on you. You gotta have enough intuition to figure out which is which. During any type of career, there's gonna be times where you have to prioritize your job. That's gonna happen. But if choosing your job over your family ever becomes a no-brainer, it's time to turn around, bro, because now you've gone too far.